What's going on? Will Freeman, RevolutionaryLifestyles.com, talking to you today about the money math between a sole proprietorship versus an empire, or a lifestyle business versus an empire. A lifestyle business, basically a service business, which is what a lot of I talk about in a lot of videos, which is going to have one to maybe like 3 or 4 people, also known as a speedboat. Whereas an empire is more of building one of those cruise ships, and both have their benefits and both have their downsides. And I just want to break down that math for you guys, whether you're trying to build an empire or trying to build a lifestyle business. Super important. For me, it's all about lifestyle business. Do not want that 100 employee Grant Cardone deal, managing all those, balls that you're trying to juggle and manage people before. Don't like it. Employees are barely better than colleagues. Want a minimum of people working for me, so I use a lot of business systems, and between that and one guy that's in my business who I really trust and super competent, and I don't have to manage him. He just runs on the system that we outlined, is so much more preferable to me. Whether I bring a few people on in the future, it'd probably be sales guys. But I would imagine maybe 3, at most 5 people within the next 10 years. And some of those people would be just doing like monitoring Facebook group and, editing captions on videos and what have you. So it would be like, probably within my current, Aaron, who I'm using currently, it would be people under him, perhaps in the Philippines, kind of doing that grunt social media stuff, so to speak, but not a whole lot of people. And it doesn't have to be a whole lot of people. If you look at Kevin Nations and Frank Kern, it's like, those guys have a couple employees. Dan Kennedy was the same, taking home 1, 2, 5, 6 mil, selling high ticket. That's where I'm going, baby. Already selling high ticket, but those prices are going to increase in the future. So if you want it now, revolutionarylifestylesdesign.com/coaching, while I'm still doing one-on-one, while the price is still what it is. Because the future is going to be group coaching, and it's going to be more expensive. And the money math is like this. For most guys building an empire, okay, you're looking at taking home 10% of your revenue, especially if you're doing it in a Western country where you have to pay taxes. Maybe you have an office, you've got to pay for payroll, you've got to pay for health insurance, you've got to pay for Social Security, you've got to pay for all that bullshit. And then you've got to pay to train people, because you're going to have to fire a lot of employees, and a lot of employees are going to quit on you. So you're looking at a lot of expenses there. I had a client of mine who was an insurance broker. I think he was doing 350 grand in revenue. I think he had 3 staff. He was taking home like 80 grand. Something that he could have been taking home just selling insurance for a large corporation, working 9 to 5, with none of the additional stress that falls on your head as a business owner. It is not worth starting a business to end up at 80 grand in a Western country take home, because you're gonna have to pay taxes on that. That's 35% of your money gone. Okay. I had another client who I took him from, he was running a delivery business, doing all the driving himself, making 5 figures, right? So we were doing 5 grand a month, okay? And he was taking home almost all that in profit. We scaled him up to, he was doing 8 grand a month in revenue and taking home 5 or 6 grand. We scaled him up to 100 grand a month. More than that, actually. It was 150 for a while. So we helped him build a 7-figure business within a year. I take some responsibility, but that boy was a beast. Shout out to Will. At one point we were taking home 12 to 14 of that, but after the virus, revenues went back down, and we were looking at about 100 grand per month, and we were taking home about 10 of that. Now, we had about 15 people on staff there, and the business was relatively automated, so it wasn't that he needed to put in a bunch of work, but money was constantly coming out of his savings to pay suppliers. And when revenues took a dip, he had to go back to driving, so he was back in the business. We didn't, we had him out of the business, but then he had to go back in because he wasn't willing to take that revenue or that take-home dip. And so over the course of the year, we got him to save a decent amount of money, but it wasn't what I was hoping for. Now there were some other factors involved, but I mean, he was basically taking out 10% of that business. Okay. So that's for you guys who dream, like, I see all these ads and whatever, like, you build a 7-figure business. Yeah, that's great. But I mean, most guys with 7-figure businesses are taking home 10% of that and paying taxes on that shit. Okay. So if you want to make 300 grand a year and you're trying to build the typical empire in a Western country with an office and employees, okay, you want to make 300 grand a year, which is what you really need to be comfortable in North America, because the government's going to take half that shit, at least where I'm from, Toronto, same thing, New York, same thing, a lot of places in North America, they're going to take like 40% of that, right? So you want to make 300 grand a year, you need to build a business that does 3 million, okay, to be able to take home that kind of salary. Now, it's a little bit different if you're in a tech startup, which I had some experience with, and I had a couple clients of mine who built 8-figure tech startups and had some exits. Even if your tech startup is not making money, if it's making revenue but it's not generating a profit, you're still going to be probably guaranteed that 250 grand salary. If you had like VCs and wealthy investors and stuff like that, they make sure that the founder has a good salary to keep them happy, with the hopes that it's going to pay off. They're not too worried about that 200K because they're trying to see it become a $50 million, $100 million a year business. That's what they're interested in. So in those cases, like, you cannot be making a profit and still take home a salary. But for most of you guys, and I don't think a tech business is the right way to go unless you're really exceptional. You're a high-level programmer and a bunch of different other things, which you can see in my video, how to tell if you're exceptional or not. But that being the case, you don't want, you're not going to be able to take home that 250 on your own, building and doing everything from scratch unless you earn it. And for most empires, you're looking at taking home 10%. There's a few exceptions. One was a client of mine who built, well, when we started working together, I think he had 4 employees. He must have 20 people on staff, but he runs it remotely. He's done all the same things that I've done to, expatriate from his home country and minimize and optimize taxes, and hires from Eastern European countries, so he's able to pay them much less. Uses them as contractors, so there's not, not having to pay health insurance and all that other bullshit. Doing it all legally, 100% legally. He's just doing it intelligently, and he's got a very high margin, high ticket service business. Where he was when we were working together, taking home at least 80 to 90% of that. So he's built kind of a hybrid lifestyle business empire. And he's done a very good job at keeping those margins high, which you can do in an online service business. But for most guys, you've got to be very careful with the idea of, building an empire. Because 7 figures doesn't mean anything. Like, the branch that I work for in ad sales did 5 million a year. The branch, the company did 40 million, and you never heard of this company. That's still considered a medium-sized business. But none of that fucking matters. All that matters is how much is the owner taking home every year. Plenty of large businesses lose money, or plenty of large businesses barely make a profit, and plenty of large businesses got smoked during this virus situation. Okay, so number one in terms of the money math is how much am I going to take home every year? That's all that matters, is how much you're able to draw out of the business. And then it's up to you whether you want to reinvest. If it's a high margin business and you built a flywheel that's compounding interest, like Facebook ads, for example, where you put in $1, you get at 3. That's a very smart thing to do with your money, especially when we're moving towards negative interest rates and, uncertainty in currencies and commodity prices and all that stuff. So having a vehicle where you can dump that money back into is great, where the margins are high and your take home is high. Or you can pull that out into savings and protect that money. Ideally you invest back 30-40%, you pull another 30-40% out, and protect that money. You can see a bunch of my videos on wealth protection, also going to be available in the How to Play the Game of Life course, massive section on wealth. So that's ideally what you want, is to think like, well, how do I get to my income target in a business that I like without a tremendous amount of stress, and focus on that instead of the revenue target of like building an 8-figure business. Like, you might not want an 8-figure business, dude. I don't think most people understand the kind of stress level associated with that. Some guys are pure empire builders, all right? And they're aiming for that 100 mil. And I've got one client who's 24, and I think by the time he's my age, he's gonna get it. I think he's gonna get at least 30 mil, okay? Because he's doing drop shipping, and he's probably gonna do like 400 grand a month in revenue next month. He's been at it for 2 years, okay? But he's very exceptional and very driven, very, very action oriented, very high IQ. And he's still doing it on a skeleton staff of 5 people. It's still closer to a lifestyle business. Eventually he wants to move into a brand, which is an empire. But he's going to be able to do it with a couple mil in the bank that he saved from his lifestyle dropshipping business, his get rich business. Okay, that's a different story. When you have a ton of knowledge and expertise and a lot of money in the bank, and you want to try your hand at that empire business that's already within your wheelhouse, right? You go from dropshipping to actually creating a brand. Good example would be like Gymshark, right? Created a very successful brand and made the founder a billionaire in his 20s. But for a time he was I'm sure running that on a low margin, hiring people, dumping money, dealing with all that stress. So you really need to be a certain type of individual to build that empire. And most guys, well, first of all, most guys are not fit to own and run a business. I feel like it's 1%, and of that 1%, most are not fit to build an empire. Okay, like, you're fit to build an empire if I can't talk you out of it. If you're like, nah, 100 mil's the target, don't care about anything else. Okay, fair enough. All right, and you actually, that's not just empty words. Okay, you actually execute on that. Different story. Okay, very different story. But for most guys, the lifestyle, service-based lifestyle business is the main fit. Maybe drop shipping, but again, got to be exceptional in the IQ department for that. It's not as easy as they make it sound on these bullshit courses that these digital nomad con men are selling to young impressionable men. It's not as easy. For most guys, it's that service business. So what I did with my client who was selling insurance, as I said, like, we got to fire 3 of those people. They're just, like 200 grand of that income that he was bringing in literally just went to staff just to break even. Like, it was a make work project. I said, we could fire 3 of those people, and let's get rid of these. He had 400 clients to make that 300 grand, and 80% of that 350 euro came from his top 50 clients. And I said, dude, we could let's just fire the bottom 350 clients who are just all tiny bullshit money, and just keep, they're basically like creating problems for the staff to solve, and therefore creating jobs for the staff that are literally draining our revenue. And I was like, you could be taking home 220 grand today, just by getting rid of the staff. Maybe you keep one person on, and getting rid of those shit clients, or just giving them, not even firing them, just being like, okay, you either renew your premium and it's an easy conversation, or you don't. Just at a lower level of service, because hey, look, when someone's paying you $300 a year for insurance, you can't expect the level of, like, I feel like he was given a crazy amount of time and service to someone at those price points, and it's just not feasible to do. And we could have doubled, if not tripled, his take home just by doing that. And for my other client who built the delivery business, I said, like, one thing that we were able to do was eventually get it to where he was pretty much out of the business and it was automated. And he was doing maybe an hour a day just monitoring and managing people, and had his partner basically acting as a COO. And we were moving him more towards wholesaling the product that he was buying. And the wholesaling was way, way easier, because we found a way for him to get a list of what would have been his competitors. And he already had a decent list of suppliers, and buying in bulk and creating those deals, because he had the balls to do so, and he knew some guys who had some money. All of a sudden it was possible for him to make 10 grand a week, basically. I'd say 5 to 10 grand a week, basically just by himself, brokering deals, which is a much higher margin business and much less headaches. And it was a great use for the money that we were making, because he wasn't spending much money. He's 22 years old. He's not spending that 10 grand a month that he's making, and it's a great use to be able to put that money towards wholesale deals. And I guess it was closer to a lifestyle business. Now, that young man still wants to build an empire. It's just not in that vehicle that he's in now. He's probably going to sell that business. What he's going to do is he's going to stack up some more cash over the next 2 years to be able to fund an empire in, he actually wants to do QLA, the Dan Pena thing, the buying up distressed service businesses and rolling them together. And he wants 100 mil, and that boy's gonna get it, because he's that kind of a guy. So the target changes, right? But I feel like the pivot that we did was working quite well, and it's gonna take him to that next level. So I guess what I want to express to you guys is just the importance of understanding that money math, because I didn't know that going into it. When I was like 20, I was like, I want a hedge fund, I want to do a crazy business, I want to build the next. I just had no idea about the metrics and about what that encompassed. For me, I'm definitely that lifestyle business guy. 7-figure lifestyle business, taking home, at least 70%, because with most of that spend going to ads, right? Not employees. That's the deal for me. I'm on that speedboat. I'm on that that type of a model 100%. Selling high ticket and just becoming more valuable over the next decade or so. I mean, I'm 38 now. I feel like I'm more valuable in business than ever, and that's only going to continue to increase. The transition for me is transitioning into coaching only entrepreneurs, guys who already have businesses, minimum 5 figures, but 6 figures, 7 figures. I've coached all the above. Coached guys with 8-figure net worth, and just continue to improve my skill set doing lifestyle design for you guys. Maybe hire a couple more people in the future, but I mean, I pretty much got the system down. Once that course comes out, it's going to be just bringing guys into that course, into that group, monitoring progress, and just leveling up as many entrepreneurs I can to be 1% across the board, like 1% mental health, 1% organization, 1% discipline, 1% physical fitness, 1% income, 1% net worth, 1% sexual market value, 1% relationships. And being able to, with all that, like, translating down to being able to create a structure to where, like, you're living your ideal day as much as possible, you're as happy as possible, devoting all my energy to that, and scaling up through social media organically and on ads, and taking home the bulk of that profit with anywhere from 1 to maybe 4 employees over the next decade. I've got one guy working for me now. Maybe we bring on a couple more people, but it won't need that much because of the business structure that I designed, and also because of these other business systems that I work with. I do work with maybe 10 other different companies, stuff like SoundCloud, to handle the podcast and all that, which are very useful, and most of them don't cost much money at all. And I'm grateful for those businesses. You can actually automate a tremendous amount in your lifestyle business, and I can help you do that. I can also help you change courses or simplify within your current business, increase margins, create the right SOPs and automation, help you pivot from an empire to a lifestyle business and readjust the targets if that's where you're at. If you're a 5 or 6 figure entrepreneur and you found value in this message, and you think you might find value in helping me, or letting me help you simplify and automate and perhaps take home some more money, check out revolutionarylifestyledesign.com/coaching and perhaps book a call, and we can see if you're a good fit. And also stay tuned for the course, man. The course that's that I've been telling you guys are going to be coming out ideally by the end of this year, boys. I promise you, I'm working hard on it. How to play the game of life course. But hey, look, good things take time, man. I'm aiming to make this the best personal development course of all time, truly. And that's it. I appreciate you watching this. Much love to you in your personal development journey. And if you have any questions, let me know in the comment section. All right, brother.